Hi, I'm Chris License, and this is our license to travel. All right, guys and girls, today we're going to talk about one of the things that most RVers overlook when it comes to their RV's running gear. That's tires, the parts that get you down the road. Now, I'll bet that it's probably not quite what you're thinking, so stick around, because once again, we're going to dive right in. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Chris, and today we're going to talk really quick about your RV tires/wheels. Primarily the one thing that most of us have probably overlooked when it comes to our safety, and another item to add to our maintenance schedule and checklist. We've done several videos on RV tire safety and the problems that not taking care of those expensive and explosive, in some cases, skins that you have on your rims. Those videos have a wealth of information, tips and tricks about tire safety. We'll leave a link to that video up here, just in case you'd like to learn more than what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to touch on the one thing that a lot of folks forget about.
Bully says, forget about it.
And that is to check something that is really easy to overlook. We've already talked about RV tire pressure, the date codes on the tires, and that's not it. Those are important things for sure, and most folks use a TPMS. We recommend that from the moment you start RVing, get a system to monitor your tires. We can get close to instant readouts on our tires' temperatures, pressures, high and low warnings. It really speeds up your travel day checklist because you can just turn it on and wait for it to connect while completing other items on your list, then have all your tires' information right there at hand. Today's subject that seems so simple and is so very important is to torque your wheel lug nuts. So many things are going on in our minds on travel days, and our checklists are getting much longer. Hence, that's why we use a list. Now, many times the torque specs of those lug nuts that hold our wheels on just get overlooked. We think we've done everything right, having new tires and a big tire company to put them on, or the manufacturer put them on, or maybe the dealer did, and we assume we're good to go. Well, did they do it right? What specs did they use? Different specs from manufacturers to manufacturers, and size and bolt patterns of the rims. It is so very important to double check these values whenever you've had any work done to your RV's undercarriage. Basically, whenever a wheel comes off, like a tire rotation, bearings repacked, brake work, suspension repairs, or upgrades, etc. There are specific patterns that the rim manufacturers recommend for tightening those lug nuts. That's where you keep hearing about a star pattern. We've heard so many and seen a few videos of where someone was driving down the road and a whole wheel comes flying off because the lug nuts were not torqued properly. Maybe too little and or too much. Yeah, it matters. It happens way more than you think. How's that saying go? Trust but verify?
Trust but verify.
Some folks have become so disillusioned by poor workmanship that they don't trust just anyone, especially if they don't know them, to work on their vehicles, so they've taught themselves to do the work. Even if you do the work, and especially if someone else does it, manufacturers do recommend that you go back and re-torque all lug nuts after about 50 miles or so of driving to be certain that no problems have developed. It's pretty much standard procedure. Now, this isn't something that you have to do every travel day, but I think it's a good idea every few trips or so, just for peace of mind. It's not hard to do, but you'll need a few tools and to spend a little time online researching torque values, or you can just call the wheel manufacturer. Those tools don't have to be top-of-the-line professional grade. It's nice if you own those, but you can find some good serviceable tools online or at places like Harbor Freight, Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. The first thing you're going to need is a breaker bar for the lug nut removal. Some folks went all out and bought a high-powered electric impact wrench. Warning, we'll talk about this in a minute or so. You'll also need the appropriate sockets rated to handle the job, maybe thin-walled for decorative rims, yet strong enough to be used with that handy impact wrench. The torque wrench you choose shouldn't be just big enough, but instead your torque value should be somewhere in the 1/2 to 3/4 of the torque ability of that tool. Remember, the longer the handle on the wrench, the easier it is to reach that value. Do not use a cheater tube on a torque wrench. Never use your torque wrench to remove your lug nuts. You can damage the tool. 50 to 250 foot-pounds, and you can also use it to check values on your pin box as well. If you go to your RV manuals, ours is a Solitude, which means we check our Lippert manual, where there is a chart with the information on wheel size and bolt patterns and the recommended pattern to use when torquing your nuts. Did I just say that? Please note, you'll follow a star pattern when tightening, and you'll begin by using a torque value well below the final value. You should always start the lug nuts by hand, then to about 50% of the top torque value. Then do it again at 75% of the value. Then finally at full torque specs. Okay, why a torque value? Well, if you're not tightened enough, the nuts can back off and you can lose your wheel and tire at speeds and possibly damage your drum or hub. If the value is too high when the tire, rim, and drums or brakes heat, they can stretch and break the studs that the nuts are screwed onto, again sending your wheel and tire down the road, which might cause serious injury or even death to another. This too tight thingy, as my wife would say, just happened to a very popular RV YouTuber. They were lucky and no one was hurt other than their pride. But being good folks, they were able to recover all their parts and repair the RV within a few days. Their lesson is that an electric impact wrench can easily over-tighten the nuts, causing every stud on that brake drum to shear. Now with your shiny new torque wrench, there are simple ways to check the calibration on the wrench. Number 1, you can send it to a shop and have them do it for you, giving you a really neat little sticker and a certificate to prove it. Number 2, YouTube will show you some simple ways to do it yourself without any special tools. Take the time to learn to set the proper torque value on that wrench. If you pay attention, it's not hard. They all come with instructions showing you how. See YouTube as well. Pro tip, there is a cheaper, lighter, easier torque wrench breaker bar combo that you can use. Take your breaker bar, or buy a stout long one. Cheap but strong is great, and purchase this handy little device. It fits on your breaker bar like a socket and has a very accurate, easy to set digital display that will turn any breaker bar, whatever length, into a torque wrench. It has a battery powered display, a couple of those little disc batteries, audible and tactile buzzer, and flashing LED notification, and ranges from about 4 pounds to 250 foot-pounds. It's half-inch drive, and it's made by AC Delco, and it takes up no space to store. It even comes with a handy case. What a deal! If you have a standard torque wrench, remember to zero it before putting it away, as to not damage the device. Hopefully you've learned something, and maybe you're well on your way to make yourself more self-sufficient. If you know that you've done it right, you'll have less to worry about. As always, this should be it for today. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up right here on YouTube. And if you'd like to see more videos about RVs and RVing, then subscribe. With any luck, we'll see you out on the road, or maybe back here on the next video. Please, travel safe.